And hit record.
Perfect.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alethea Girding. I am the treasurer for ISMTE, and I was on this year's awards committee. And I'm pleased today to have with me Emily Davies, who is the winner of the Early Career Scholarship. Emily is the Senior Journals Publishing Manager at Wiley. So congratulations, Emily. We're really excited to provide you with this Early Career Scholarship.
Thank you so much. It's really lovely to be speaking to you today as well.
You're welcome. Thanks. So I'll start with the same question I've asked many of our award winners because I find it so interesting. It's that so many of us come to scholarly publishing through different routes, and it's interesting to hear how we all found ourselves working in the field. So if I could start by asking how you came to be working in scholarly publishing.
Of course. So I have always been really passionate about academia and learning. I studied biological sciences at university, and after a very brief stint in research, I actually began a career in accountancy whilst I did my master's full-time. When I graduated from that, I was looking for a job that utilised both my science background and kind of my experience in business as well. But I still wanted to keep that link, I guess, with academia and research as well. So scholarly publishing seemed like a perfect combination of all of those different pieces. I applied for a job at Wiley 4 years ago, and I've been working here ever since.
That's great. And I think I found that a lot of people who find this are looking for pieces of different things, and this is where they find it. You know, research or science, or as you're talking about business, many people with, wanting to do something with English and publishing. It's just great that this is a place where all those sort of come together.
Absolutely.
So when we on the awards committee we're looking at your nomination, there are several things that stood out to us. So you've helped start a sound science journal with Wiley, and you've done a lot of work with Wiley DE&I initiatives. And I would say that one of my favorite things about ISMTE is that I meet people who've done things that my journals might be working on or looking to do. And so there's always somebody I know I can ask for advice when I find out somebody's done this or that. And I would say, do you have any advice you can share about your work on those two projects, or any pitfalls that any of us should consider if we're working on similar projects?
Firstly, I absolutely agree. And I'm a huge advocate for sharing ideas and lessons learned, whether that's between subject areas or between publishers. And I think that fits really nicely into the D&I piece as well, working with the joint commitment too. So I'll start off with the Sound Science Journal, as you mentioned that one first. So I think the most important pieces of advice would be to, number one, take your time with the modelling and ensure that the numbers are backed up by evidence and seem reasonable. And I think that will set you up for success. I had done a little bit of research when I first took on the proposal piece and looked at other proposals and spoke to people who had launched journals previously. And they said one of the key things that they'd struggled with was that they'd overestimated some of those numbers. And as we move into kind of more open access, and we're thinking about that on an article-based economy, I think that's really important that we get those kind of submissions pieces really right from the get-go. Otherwise, it's going to be much harder down the line. Number two, make sure that other editors and societies in the subject area are supportive and have an opportunity to provide feedback and input. It meant that we have a really supportive network of other editors that wanted to help out where they can and provide insight in terms of article types and what kinds of rejections from their journals might be a good fit for your new one as well. So I think that gave us a really good kind of supportive network too. And number three, to spend time on the editor recruitment phase. I think finding the right team and ensuring that you've got the alignment in the vision beforehand makes the post-launch activities so much easier and generally a lot more successful. And then on the DE&I work, I've been so lucky to work with some amazing colleagues in this space, both internally within Wiley, but also on the joint commitment side as well. I think collaboration and being open to different points of view is always kind of key to each of the initiatives that you work on. But the most important lesson that I've learned from it is probably that every journal will have different priorities based on what their current state is, and that an action plan is one of the best things that we can do to keep people accountable, but also keep making sure that we're progressing in the right direction and that we're monitoring what we're doing as well and how those initiatives are working. And obviously having agreement from all the key stakeholders, again, really, really vital. But hopefully by having that action plan in place, you can prioritize the resources and focus your energies into making meaningful steps forward.
My journals are published by Wiley, and we found, the resources invaluable and working to update our guide to authors and other things like that. And it's been good to have those resources and support. So thank you for being a part of that. And I'll probably be back in touch with more questions just about what my journal is working on. What would you say is the most difficult thing about starting a career in scholarly publishing?
I love this question. I think for me, I found that there are so many roles and responsibilities within scholarly publishing that I didn't really know where to start. And that begins with knowing what role you might want to apply for in the first place. But even once you've got the job, understanding all the systems, the workflows, the processes, all the various teams, what the responsibilities are of various teams, I think it can be really daunting. And I guess actually what the difficulty can be is stepping back and going, I don't need to know everything. There's all these teams of experts around to help, and it's okay to have questions and to not know everything, especially within publishing, because things are changing all the time. And I love the fact that we get questions on a day-to-day basis that you go, oh, no one's ever asked that before. Who do I need to speak to for advice on that? But again, that who do I need to speak to piece can be really difficult, especially in a big organization. So I think that to me is the most difficult part, is understanding all the different aspects of publishing and understanding how they come together. And I think just through different projects and different groups and organizations, such as I work with ALPS a little bit in terms of different working groups. And that's helped so much in terms of broadening my knowledge of what all of those different pieces are. So yeah.
Yeah, my whole career has been on the society or the association side of things. And it's interesting to hear you say about who does what, because you're talking about who does what at the publisher. And it's also a learning curve for anyone who starts in a society or association to figure out, I mean, some are bigger than others, but what does the membership department do? And what does the meetings department do? And what does the education department do? I mean, it really is, it takes some time to learn. And I think it's interesting that I had a similar experience, but on the different side of the scholarly publishing landscape. So what's your favorite thing about working in scholarly publishing?
I think I probably just touched on it a little bit, but I think we're in a really exciting time within scholarly publishing at the moment, and it's a real state of flux. So the ongoing transition from traditional subscription to open access models, and the commitment to improve DE&I across publishers within the industry. It's so fast paced, and we're constantly learning and having new challenges thrown at us as well. And I love that creates this kind of collaborative approach. And that can be between publishers, with academics, with societies, even just between internal departments. And we're constantly learning from each other. And I feel like that is helping us to make improvements in the output by learning from each other. And it comes back to what we spoke about right at the beginning, I think, in the second question, around sharing your ideas, sharing your kind of lessons learned, and learning from each other. And yeah, so I think it's the challenge, and that every day seems different.
Yep, that is certainly my experience as well. So any final thoughts, anything that I didn't touch on or that you would like to share with our audience?
I think just a note to say thank you so much, and it's the award has come as such a pleasant surprise, and it's so nice to get recognition for the work that we're doing, and just to kind of reiterate that I think collaboration is such a key part of the role, and being able to build on knowledge within the industry by being involved in various different projects, both internally and externally, has been a huge part of my personal development. So I would definitely encourage others to volunteer in similar projects. And yeah, it can be really rewarding, both internally, but also for yourself as well.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us today, and thank you for all that you're doing. You know, it's just clear from the nomination letter and your resume that great things are ahead for you, and we are really pleased to be able to offer the Early Career Scholarship to you this year. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate being able to speak to you, and thank you again.
You're welcome.